Hello, today we're going to be talking about Alita Battle Angel. This is a recent movie based on manga that stars Rosa Salazar and Christoph Waltz, and it's about a cyborg who is thrown out of basically an elite city that's floating up in the sky, kind of like Elysium, and she's found and repaired by Christoph Waltz, but she doesn't have any memory. Throughout her time on Earth, she realizes that she's a powerful battle robot, or a cyborg, from over 300 years ago, and she wants to fight. One of her main goals is to get back to that city that's up on, up in the sky, and that's actually what most people's main goal is. Again, a lot like Elysium, where they know that in the city in the sky is where all the privileged people are, it's where all the fancy things are, it's where people live a higher level of life, and they want to get up there. And one of the ways you can get up there is by playing a game called Motorball, and it's kind of like Rollerball, like the 70s movie, and it's very similar. Like you roll around, it's roller derby, but with motorized skates, and you have to get a ball into a basket. But it's also very violent, mostly cyborgs because of all the violence, and I guess that's how they get away with the violence, is that it is cyborgs, so it's synthetic and it's not bloody, but it is violent. And there's actually another subplot that involves like teenage gangs that go around and attacking cyborgs and stealing their parts to resell them. So that it's definitely not like a kids movie. It's got adult themes in it, and it does get pretty brutal with the violence. I haven't seen the manga, but this is a good movie. There's a lot of CG. If that bothers you, you probably won't like this movie. Like the last probably 20-30 minutes, Motorball and also the final fight are pretty much just CG players fighting CG players, and so if that bothers you, you might not like this movie. There's also a romance in it, and the boyfriend, Hugo, is very flat and kind of boring, and it's really hard to buy the romance in it, especially because the girl that plays Alita is doing a really great job. Like, you know that her face is all CG, but she does a really good job with her voice of bringing her emotions across. And compare that to this Hugo guy who's very flat and boring, and it's really hard to see the relationship and how it developed, which apparently it did. There's more of a father-daughter thing with Christoph Waltz's character that is easier to buy. And Jennifer Connelly is also in it. She has a past with Christoph Waltz. They had a daughter together, and so the whole daughter-father dynamic going on with Alita and Christoph Waltz's character kind of makes her jealous a bit. But overall, it is a good movie. Like I said, the negatives would be way too much CGI, but in a movie that's based on a manga and stars a character who's a cyborg, it's really hard to not have that much CGI, but it does rely on it a lot. It's good, it's just a lot. Like, it's really hard to get behind a final fight that's just two computer-generated characters fighting each other. There's not really a lot of stakes there. But the movie's fun, the characters are good, the acting's good. Like I said, Rosa Salazar, who plays Alita, Christoph Waltz, Jennifer Connelly, they do a great job, but the guy that plays Hugo, not so much. Other than that, the rest of the cast is good. The one other negative thing I would point out is that it might It might be multiple movies put together because it does feel like they're telling too many subplots. Like you have the romance, and then you have Alita wanting to get into the city in the sky and playing motorball and fighting these thieves that are trying to steal. And there's a whole other subplot with these hunter masters that are basically volunteers, not volunteers, they work on bounty system, but because there's no cops, that's all there is. So they are fighting and tracking down murderers and things like that based on the bounty system. So if there's no bounty for somebody, they can get away with whatever they want. And Christoph Waltz is actually one of these hunter masters. Several times throughout the movie, he carries around this really big axe-looking thing, but it looks really fake, and it's distracting. Like when people carry it, it looks like they don't really show that it's a heavy item. It looks like they're carrying around plastic, basically. So that part looks a little silly. But the plot of the Hunter Master plot, the thieves stealing cyborg parts, the motorball part, and the romance, like it's just too much for one movie, and they probably should have split it into two movies. They are definitely looking to do a sequel. Like they left it wide open for a sequel. There's a character played by a known actor who doesn't even have a line in the movie. That character is going to have a bigger part in the second movie, if there is one, which there might be. But sequel baiting isn't the most ideal way to end a movie. Like you want a good conclusion. And for this, it's more like, well, see the good conclusion next time. So for that, I'm not a big fan of the sequel baiting and movies that have mostly CGI characters. So overall, it's a good movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. It would get an 8 out of 10 if the boyfriend was a better actor, and maybe less CGI, or at least bringing more emotion and depth to the CGI characters. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all of the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.